Soon after the Scouts were founded in 1908, the Scouts realized they had a problem. They created what they called the red flag list, or perversion files. These files were so sensitive that the Boy Scouts did everything they could to make sure that they could not be seen by parents, by police, even by other Scout leaders.
So the instinctual move was to just make sure they buried it.
The new Netflix investigative documentary, Scouts Honor: The Secret Files of the Boy Scouts of America, exposes how the organization attempted to cover up one of the most horrific child sexual abuse scandals in American history.
Brian Knappenberger directed the documentary, and he joins us now. Brian, thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
It's pretty unbelievable that these files existed for so many years. And was it, you have a whistleblower in your show, Michael Johnson, who was a former police detective. Is he the one that brought all of this to light, the fact that these files exist?
No, the files have actually been kept since the Boy Scouts were founded. Boy Scouts were founded in the UK in 1908. And the first time the files ever surfaced was in a New York Times article in 1935. But they, they came out in a series of lawsuits over the last few decades. And eventually it just became almost overwhelming, the number of files and cases, and which of course led to the 82,000 claimants that came forward for the Boy Scouts. But Michael Johnson was a very critical voice for us. He was a whistleblower. He was the former youth protection director of the Boy Scouts. And I think one of the reasons he was so critical for us is that he came to the Boy Scouts with this huge depth of expertise. This is what he had spent his career doing. But he also gave us a real glimpse inside the way that the Boy Scouts dealt with this problem.
Which was to basically not deal with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, when you have this level of documentation and this level of files, the pattern that emerges is that they really tried to bury this over time and saw it more, I think, more as a PR problem rather than a human problem. They went after journalists that tried to report on it. They sometimes went after victims in court, saying, "Oh, this person is damaged goods" is a word that comes up occasionally, and they really tried to sort of make the problem go away.
82,000 former Scouts coming forward. That number is staggering. So, how did you go about finding the families that were willing to speak for this documentary?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a staggering number. It's actually a very hard number even when you hear it now, to get your head around. That's 82,000 claimants, 82,000 people who claim that they were abused in some way in scouting programs when they were children. Just an absolute staggering number. Many times more claimants than came forward in the Catholic Church scandal, one of the biggest scandals of its kind. This is the biggest scandal of its kind that we know about. But your question is right. It's part of what you have to do, I think, as a documentary filmmaker, is you have to communicate to people what you're doing, how where you're coming from, and just over time get to know them, and hopefully they trust you with their stories. I think most people want to tell their stories, but especially with men, there's a social stigma to coming forward and talking about this. Most men don't disclose sexual abuse until late into their 50s. So I think everybody in here, I think the most moving part for me is the fact that so many of these men came forward and talked to us and had that courage. And I think once certain people start talking, then others start to talk. There's a famous phrase, "Courage is contagious," and I think that applies here.
You have the former general counsel for the Boy Scouts that appears in the film, and he says that this is a small percentage of the Scouts' experience, and they also say that they reflected society at the time. Times have changed. What has the Boy Scouts done now? How are things now?
Well, first of all, you correctly pointed to the response that we got from the Boy Scouts over and over again, and it appears in the film multiple times. Those aren't repeated clips; those are variations on a theme. Yes, this is their answer. They say that the Boy Scouts may have had a problem here, but that it's a part of society as a whole has a problem, and the Boy Scouts is just a part of that. And I just think that's a very dangerous deflection in this case. First of all, 82,000 people, as I just mentioned, many times more multiple than what the people that came forward, the number of claims that came forward in the Catholic Church. This is not like other scandals, not even close. And it also ignores, I think, particular vulnerabilities with the Scouts. I mean, name another youth-serving organization that sends kids hundreds of miles away on overnight trips, away from their family, away from their support network. And I also think it's a kind of irresponsible. It's not good leadership to respond that way. I mean, 82,000 victims came forward and talked about this. It shouldn't be we're like other scandals. It should be how do we fix this, and frankly maybe doing anything within their power, including shutting the program down until they can keep kids safe.
Well, now they have it so you can't have one-on-one contact. And what other changes have been made? Because we know the Boy Scouts exist. They have girls now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a little, through the bankruptcy process, I will say, as a documentarian following this, the Boy Scouts resisted changes through this. I mean, mostly the Chapter 11 process was about how does the Boy Scouts emerge from this and still operate as an organization, and they did. There was a settlement, and they are still operating. But it's unclear that some of the big child protection methods really got through to them and really passed, and that there was anything binding. I think two big things. One thing is that people really want transparency here. They really want to know how bad the scandal was, what happened, and they want greater transparency with numbers. And they also want a third-party organization that can, not employed by the Boy Scouts, paid by the Boy Scouts, that can monitor them. That's what people are calling for. It's not clear how that's going yet. So there are youth protection measures throughout the history of the Boy Scouts that they put in. They haven't been enough. And I think it's time. I mean, I think we all hope that they get really, really serious about this and start doing things that are clear to people, clear to parents if they're thinking about signing their kids up for the Boy Scouts.
Brian, thank you.
Clear to, yeah.
Oh, no, I appreciate your time here. We have to let you go now. Again, the documentary is called Scouts Honor, The Secret Files of the Boy Scouts of America, streaming now on Netflix. You can follow him on social media. Brian, thanks again.
Thanks, Brian.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.